From shame to epic. How a billionaire transformed a black girl's dress dilemma at midnight. It was a night unlike any other, cloaked in mystery, electric with unspoken tension. The clock struck 12, its echo pulsating through the lavish hall of the grandest mansion in town. A shimmering chandelier hung overhead, casting a kaleidoscope of light that danced off walls adorned with priceless art. Yet, amidst the glamour, an explosion of whispers filled the air, tension so thick it could slice through glass. The center of it all? A young girl named Ayanna, standing frozen in a slip of a dress that barely whispered elegance, mocking her aspirations for the prom night of her dreams. Ayanna felt the weight of all those eyes upon her. Their gazes were daggers, each whisper like a heavy stone. How could she? The words hung suspended, carving deep into her heart. She clutched the fabric of her dress, the cheap material crumpling under her trembling fingers. That night was supposed to be magical, a swirl of dresses and laughter, but here she was, the sole focus of everyone as derision. The room came alive with a sudden blast. The massive doors swung open, and in strode a presence that could only be described as vibrant and chaotic. It was Marcus Wilder, the reclusive billionaire with a reputation for flamboyance. A lightning bolt of curiosity struck the crowd. Eyebrows arched. This man was known for his wild parties and unpredictable antics, but what was he doing here? They murmured amongst themselves, trying to piece together this sudden twist of fate. Who invited him? Someone hissed, barely keeping their voice down. Heartbeats quickened, the air crackled like static. What could he possibly want with this gathering of the elite? Marcus paused, his sharp gaze sweeping over Ayanna. He registered her shame, the hurt etched across her youthful face, and in that moment, something flickered in his expression. Was it empathy, or something deeper? What would someone like him see in a girl so far below his world? The chairman of the board had just arrived, and the tone cracked with electric anticipation. "You?" he exclaimed suddenly, his voice spilling over the muted buzz of the crowd. The room hushed, all eyes on him, wondering, speculating. "Come here." His commanding tone pulled Ayanna from the shadows of despair. A shiver rippled through her, fear laced with an odd thrill as her thoughts raced. Could this be the moment that changed everything? Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads-up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Where's your dress from? Marcus asked, genuine curiosity in his eyes, as if he were unearthing some hidden treasure. The crowd leaned in, breath held, waiting for the revelation. Ayanna's chest tightened. This could turn into an embarrassment or a miracle. Her small voice barely escaped, "I couldn't afford anything else." The honesty hit the room like a thunderclap. Gasps echoed, and then a silence followed, filled only with the rustle of skirts. Marcus's face shifted, determination igniting behind his steely eyes. "Not on my watch," he declared, a wave of urgency rippling through the audience. It was a bold statement, laden with unfulfilled promises and the weight of change. "Meet me outside," he commanded, taking a step back, almost daring her to follow. The thrill of uncertainty gripped Ayanna. What awaited her out there? Freedom or failure? She took a breath, her hands still trembling. As she approached the door, the crowd exploded with questions, echoes trailing behind her, thickening the air with suspense. The mansion lights flickered ominously, darkness creeping like a demon waiting in the shadows. Ayanna glanced back, her heart pounding. What was she stepping into? A world of luxury, ridicule, or fate? Only time would tell, but she was done hiding. In that waltz of vulnerability and boldness, Iona crossed the threshold, leaving the whispers of shame behind and stepping toward a future laced with potential, every step weighted with swirling anticipation. What secrets did this night hold? And could one billionaire truly transform everything for a girl just looking for her moment? The air felt different outside, electric and charged, like the seconds before a storm unleashing its fury. The heavy wooden door creaked shut behind Iona, and she was met with the full breath of the night. The chilly wind whipped around her, tugging at her short dress, reminding her of her vulnerability. It felt like stepping off a cliff into the unknown. Marcus stood just a few feet away, illuminated by the soft glow of a vintage lamp. His confident posture was sharp against the opulent backdrop of the mansion. Yet it wasn't he the house that captivated her. It was the intensity in his eyes, the promise of something more. "Iona, right?" he asked, voice smooth like silk, yet holding an edge. She nodded, her throat tight with nerves. "Forget the dress for a second," he continued, stepping closer. "Tell me what you want." It wasn't an ordinary question. Most adults asked for practicality, not dreams. I want to fit in. I want to be beautiful, like everyone else," she murmured, the admission tasting like bittersweet truth on her tongue. He contemplated her honesty for a heartbeat. "Forget fitting in. Stand out. Women like you are diamonds in the rough. How about we change that?" Iona shook her head in disbelief. "Change what? This is just who I am." "No." He stepped forward, gaze fierce. "This isn't who you are. This is just an outfit. And tonight should be about celebrating." He gestured to the mansion, the laughter muffled through the walls, the festivities vibrant within. "But how can you celebrate when you feel trapped?" His words ignited a spark in her spirit, but doubt still clawed at her insides. "How can you guarantee it won't end in more shame?" Marcus hesitated. A flicker of insight crossed his face, as if he too remembered the pain of judgments and whispers. "I'm not offering magic," he said slowly, "but opportunity. Trust me, this could lead to something incredible." As they stood there, moments stretched like eternity, and uncertainty hung between them. Yet something inside Iona shifted, an ember of courage igniting. She took a step closer, feeling the weight of the decision bearing down on her. "What do I have to do?" Her voice quavered, thick with emotion. "Just follow me." He turned, his silhouette framed against the glowing entrance of the mansion, and Iona found herself breathless, stepping into the realm of possibility. As they walked toward a sleek black car parked at the curb, she noticed a group of onlookers peering through the windows, eyes wide with a mix of envy and disbelief. "Where are we going?" she questioned, the thrill of adventure mingling with apprehension. "To the city, to find your dress, one that paints the real you," Marcus replied, a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Tonight isn't over, it's just beginning." As they slipped into the car, Iona felt the pull of her newfound confidence, but also the tether of reality, wondering what universe she was diving into. What awaited her in that city of lights? But before she could finish her thought, the car roared to life. In a split second, all doubt flew from her mind. Was it possible? Could she really have the night of her dreams? Just as they sped off into the night, a flicker of headlights approached a second car, the familiar outline of a rival she hadn't seen since childhood. Whispers of old memories flashed in her mind, leaving her numb with dread. Could the past come crashing back just as she was stepping forward? The music of the night thrummed in her ears, urging her on adventure awaits, but could she really escape her history? Outside the car, the world blurred by, and as the distance from her old life grew, so too did the question swirling in her head. What would it take to sever the ties binding her to shame? The answer lingered just out of reach, and Iona realized that this night was just the beginning of a much larger journey. Little did she know, each choice would echo much louder than the whispers of her past. The city lights danced like stars, a dazzling spectacle that seemed to promise new beginnings. As the sleek car glided through the streets, Ayana's heart raced with uncertainty, her thoughts swirling like leaves caught in the wind. The memories of her past loomed, threatening to pull her back into shadows she was desperate to leave behind. Marcus glanced at her, sensing the conflict in her expression. "You okay?" he asked, his voice steady, a grounding choice amid the whirlwind. "Yeah, just thinking about my past," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "It feels like it's creeping back in." "Hey," he said, turning slightly to meet her gaze. "That S behind you. We're moving forward, remember?" His words wrapped around her like a reassuring blanket, but doubt still gnawed at her. They pulled up to a chic boutique nestled between bustling cafes and vibrant street performers. The neon sign flickered invitingly, and for a moment, it felt like a portal into a new world. "This is it," Marcus said, opening the door for her. "Let us find the dress that screams you." As they stepped into the boutique, the atmosphere changed. It was alive with laughter, the sound of clinking glasses, and upbeat music. Mannequins donned dazzling gowns, their sequins shimmering like constellations. Ayana felt a surge of excitement mingled with fear. Could she really transform? Could her insecurities melt away like ice under the sun? "Welcome." A bubbly saleswoman approached them, her smile warm as she scanned Ayana from head to toe. "Looking for something special? You're in for a treat." Marcus nodded, an unspoken confidence radiating from him. "We need something stunning." He turned to Ayana, that fear sparked back in his eyes. "You ready to shine?" Ayana swallowed hard, her pulse quickening. "Let us do this." As the saleswoman led her to the racks, she couldn't shake the feeling of being exposed. The dresses hung like promises waiting to be fulfilled, each choice a risk that could either elevate her or remind her of every rejection she'd ever faced. "Try this one." The saleswoman handed her a brilliant red dress that seemed to glow in the soft lighting. "It'll hug your curves perfectly." The moment she slipped into the dress, Ayana paused. The fabric felt alive against her skin, and for a heartbeat, she almost dared to appreciate her reflection. The dress was stunning. She turned this way and that, the fabric swaying with her movements, the color vibrant against her brown skin. While she breathed, stunned by her image. "See?" Marcus leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, and a proud smile on his face. "You look fantastic." But then she saw a flash of movement outside the window. That same rival, Sarah, stood with a group of onlookers, her face a mask of disbelief as she took in the transformation. The moment froze, the room faded, and all Ayana felt was the weight of judgment tightening around her throat. Hadn't she vowed to shake off the past? Yet here it was, laughing in the face of her effort. "What are they doing?" she whispered, dread pooling in her gut. "Don't let them steal this moment," Marcus urged, stepping closer. "You're stronger than that." The knot in her stomach loosened a bit, bolstered by his confidence. But the confrontation hung heavy in the air, palpable and looming. She had come here to redefine herself, yet the ghosts of her past were haunting her every move. Just as she stepped onto the small platform in front of a full-length mirror, the doors swung open, and Sarah burst in, her presence like a storm. "What a surprise to see you here, Ayana," she called, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Finally decided to join the rest of us in the real world?" Ayana's heart raced. Would she let Sarah crush this fragile moment? Or would she find the strength to push back? The answer seemed just out of reach, but one thing was clear. This night was taking a turn, and the stakes were higher than ever. Would Ayana rise to the occasion or falter under the weight of expectations? As tension crackled in the air, Ayana felt something shift in her. Maybe it was time to confront her past instead of running from it. "Watch me," she whispered to herself, a decision budding within her, strengthening with every beat of her heart. The true test of who she was about to become lay just ahead. And in that moment, every eye turned towards her as she prepared to make her stand. Ayana's breath caught in her throat. The clamor of laughter and chatter in the boutique dimmed as every eye settled on Sarah, whose smirk was razor-sharp. With her flawless blonde hair and designer outfit, she embodied everything Ayana had tried to escape. "Nice dress," Sarah continued, voice dripping with sweet condescension. "But you know it's not the dress that matters. It's what's underneath it." The group behind her snickered, eyes darting between Sarah and Ayana, eager for the fireworks. Just like that, the room turned into a pressure cooker, steam about to escape. "Let us just say, I'd love to see how far you've come," Sarah said, emphasizing "come" like a knife. "The real question is, can you keep up?" Ayana's heart raced, pulse pounding violently in her ears. But this was her moment, her transformation. In that instant, she felt the weight of every doubting moment, every longing for approval slip away, replaced by flickers of fierce resilience. Marcus stepped forward, anger igniting in his eyes. "You don't get to dictate who she is." His voice held authority, shaking the fragile tension in the air. "But Marcus," Sarah replied, feigning innocence, "I'm just here to remind Ayana of the truth. She is trying to fit in with the big leagues, but we all know." Ayana cut her off, voice firm despite the tremor beneath. "You know what? I'm done playing by your rules, Sarah. I'm not here for your approval. I'm here for me." Gasps rippled through the crowd, a collective intake of breath filled with surprise. Sarah's expression shifted from amusement to irritation, a thin layer of anger forming over her carefully crafted facade. "You think you're special now? You think you can just bury your past?" She laughed mirthlessly, but the laughter was tinged with something raw. "Fear, maybe." "Burying isn't the answer," Ayana said, her voice rising in confidence. "It's about owning it, claiming it, and using it as fire to forge forward." The energy in the room changed, crackling like electricity in the air. Ayana stood firm, spirit unyielding against gossip and shadowy remarks. She felt the intensity of the moment, a shift that lit something deep within her. Sarah opened her mouth, but words failed her. For once, she was at a loss. The crowd was no longer behind her, caught up in Ayana's defiance. "Wow, Ayana," one of the onlookers murmured, her voice barely a whisper. "That was powerful." Eyes sparked with admiration shifted from Sarah to Ayana, a new sense of recognition blooming among the spectators. As the boutique seemed to echo her words, Ayana felt the strain of expectation lifting. She was no longer a shadow. There she stood, radiant and capable. Marcus stepped up next to her, his pride palpable. "You've got this," he whispered, a supportive flame fueling her newfound strength. Just then, Ayana made a choice. She was going to break the cycle. A determined grin crossed her lips. "You think you know me? I'm just getting started." With that, she turned to the mirror, reclaiming her reflection. The vibrant red dress glowed brighter, embodying her resolve. But uncertainty still loomed. She could sense Sarah's thin smile reinvigorating with cruelty. "Let us see how long you last, Ayana." "This is just the beginning," she called out, her voice trailing like a dark cloud. As the weight of those words sunk in, Ayana wondered, was she truly ready for the battle ahead? She could almost hear the echoes of her past beckoning her back, taunting her resolve. In a swirl of anticipation, she glanced at Marcus. The room held its breath, waiting for the aftermath. Would her courage prevail, or would the echoes of the past drag her under once more? The stakes were higher than ever, and the night was just beginning to unfold. Ayana felt a rush of adrenaline course through her as she faced Sarah's digging words. The laughter that once echoed now hung in a fragile silence, all eyes fixated on the rising tension. The power of the moment swelled around her like a wave ready to crash. "All you know is how to hold people back," Ayana shot back, her voice stronger now, each word carrying the weight of her journey. But I'm not that girl anymore. I'm standing here, and I'm not afraid of what you think. A few murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd. People began leaning in, captivated by her fire. Iona felt the dim light shift, illuminating her in a way that had never happened before. This was her time. I can't wait to watch you crumble, Sarah hissed, her charm slipping into bitterness. Everyone loves a fallen star, and you're on a slippery slope right now. Iona's heart pounded, but this was just the fuel she needed. You think you can intimidate me? I've faced worse than you. Go ahead, the real challenge will be when I'm standing tall while you're drowning in your own bitterness. The tension shifted again, as if a storm was brewing in the air, palpable and charged. Marcus stood beside her, a shield of support. His eyes burned fiercely, full of admiration and unwavering belief. In that moment, he turned to Iona, his voice a calm amidst the chaos. Show them what you're made of, he urged, and the confidence in his tone sparked something deep within her. Right, she said, breathing in deeply. She turned to face her reflection again, the dress a blazing reminder of the woman she was becoming. The challenge was hanging heavily, but there was also strength, a pulsing promise of hope woven into the fabric of her fears. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted the tension. Someone had knocked over a display, sending a cascade of trinkets clattering to the ground. The sound shattered the murmurs, forcing everyone's attention away from Iona for just a moment. What was that? A voice gasped. People's heads turned toward the source of the disturbance, and Iona seized the opportunity. See? The world is filled with chaos, she said, a voice much steadier than she felt. But I'm not going to be swept away by it. The crowd, caught between shock and support, began whispering among themselves. Iona met Sarah's glare, and for the first time, she felt unfazed by it. And the real question, Sarah, Iona continued, is who will rise above the chaos? It's not about being flawless, it's about embracing who you are. I've been down, I've been broken, but here I am. Before Sarah could retort, the door swung open, and in walked a tall figure draped in mystery. The energy in the room shifted, curiosity mingling with tension. Everyone turned to the newcomer. Who could it be? The stylish ensemble was striking, perhaps a billionaire? Whispers rippled like a growing wave through the crowd. Would this person change the dynamic once more? Who are you? Someone asked from the back, their voice wavering with intrigue. The figure stepped forward, revealing sharp, focused eyes that scanned the room, landing directly on Iona and Marcus. Blood rushed to Iona's face, as an unexpected connection laced the air. Your journey is just beginning, Iona, the stranger spoke, the voice magnetic. I'm here to help you harness your true potential. Let us see just how far you can go. As the words sank in, Iona's heart raced for a different reason now. What did this mean? What power could come from this stranger? In that swirling moment, uncertainty eclipsed her previous fears. Was this yet another challenge, or a lifeline? With her pulse racing and hope flickering, she leaned in, ready to discover what awaited. The night held promises beyond her comprehension, and she was determined to uncover every layer of truth. What awaited her could unravel her past or catapult her into a new destiny. What choice would she make when faced with so much at stake? The crowd held its breath, caught in the thrilling haze of uncertainty. Iona's gaze locked onto the strangers, a magnetic pull drawing her in. There was something in those piercing eyes and intensity that sparked the whispered curiosity around her. She could feel the weight of the collective gaze, hundreds of questions swirling like a chaotic storm. "What's your name?" Iona asked, her heart drumming in her chest. The response felt crucial. Would this mystery person shield her from Sarah's venomous attacks or lead her deeper into the web of intimidation? "Call me Avery," the figure replied, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of their lips. "I've been watching your growth, Iona. It's time for you to break free from the shadows." Ayana's insides twisted. Watching her? The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Was she ready for this? Standing here in a room thick with doubt and disdain? The murmurs grew louder, mixing intrigue and apprehension. Marcus stepped slightly closer. Determination etched across his face. "What is the catch?" he challenged, a protective glint in his eyes. Avery turned their attention to Marcus, assessing him with a keen eye. "No catch, just potential. But Ayana has to choose. Will she lean into the fear or rise above it?" Ayana's breath quickened. The air was heavy with tension, as she sensed the challenge sweeping over her once more. This was a moment of reckoning. With Sarah lurking just beyond her periphery, she couldn't let doubt anchor her. "I want to embrace it," she declared, her voice steady, despite the tremor in her limbs. "I've faced darkness before, and I want to let it define me." "Yes." Avery's enthusiasm flickered like a spark that ignited something deep inside her. "This is the first step, Ayana. It's all about wielding what you've learned, turning it into fuel, and transforming it into fire." "But how? How do I do that?" she pressed, an ember of hope burning within the depths of her uncertainty. Avery smirked knowingly, stepping back slightly to take in the crowd. "Every obstacle you've encountered is a stepping stone. You just need someone to show you how to leap." Ayana felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her, a cocktail of emotions swirling. Would they support her newfound desire for more? Sarah broke through the murmurs. "What a joke. Like you need help, Ayana. So desperate for attention." The venom in Sarah's voice dripped thick, but Ayana didn't flinch. "Desire for growth isn't desperation, Sarah. I'm ready to embrace who I truly am. I want to apologize for it, and I want to run from it." The air crackled with tension, charged by the conflict between the two women. Ayana glared at Sarah, the certainty in her chest igniting as she clung to her resolve. Avery stepped forward, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "You hear that?" they said, voice resonating with authority. "That's the sound of a woman who is refusing to be silenced. Let us give her the wings to soar." As those words echoed, an unwavering support arose from the crowd, murmurs of encouragement mingling with shock. Ayana felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, ready for the leap. But just then, a loud crash echoed again, this time louder. Someone had struck a table, causing glasses to fall and shatter across the floor. Silence fell, stark and cold. "What now?" a voice cried out in the rear, where panic seemed to fester. A chaos erupted, people rising from their seats, confusion palpable in the room. Ayana's heart raced not just from the flutter of adrenaline, but from mounting dread that this could be another sign of turmoil. "Enough!" Avery yelled, commanding attention. "Real growth comes with discomfort. It's time to face both the familiar chaos and the unknown head-on." Ayana swallowed hard, her pulse hammering. The uncertainty of what chaos would follow loomed large. What test awaited her now? As the dust settled, she caught Marcus's eye, their connection reaffirming her resolve. What would be needed next? An answer, a choice, a confrontation. She took a breath, ready to face whatever came next. The night held mysteries she had yet to uncover and challenges waiting to be met. How far would the journey take her, and at what cost? Would she finally rise, or would she falter in the face of the chaos that was spilling over her reality? With determination flooding through her veins, Ayana stepped closer to her destiny, the moment poised on a razor's edge. The room crackled with tension, the previous cheer evaporating like smoke. Ayana glanced around, every face fueled with anticipation. The chaos was palpable, the echoes of mumbled voices brushing against her skin like icy wind. The sudden break in routine had put her on edge, but there was a shift happening within her, one that craved confrontation rather than retreat. What was that? Someone yelled from across the room, breaking the stillness like a hammer against glass. Ayana's heartbeat quickened, a mix of fear and adrenaline coursing through her veins. The crowd murmured in unrest, intrigue replaced with uneasiness. Avery remained poised, their expression unwavering, eyes scanning the room as if expecting the next move. "You need to focus, Ayana," they urged softly, gently nudging her out of the swirl of confusion. She met Avery's gaze, feeling their steadying presence. "I am focused," she replied, her voice steadying. "What's next?" Just then, Marcus stepped forward, his protective nature surging as he raised his voice above the crowd. "What is going on? Are we safe here?" He scanned the room, unwavering in his commitment to protect Ayana. The tension prickled at the back of her neck. She understood the need for answers, and for a fleeting moment, she admired Marcus's instinct to defend her. But she also knew this was her fight. She needed to confront her fears, to pull the nagging doubt out by the root. "I need to talk to Sarah," she declared, determination weaving through her voice like steel. The crowd hushed, eyes widening. It was a risk, but Ayana was no longer the girl afraid of shadows. She was ready, and only one adversary stood in her way. "Are you sure?" Marcus questioned, concern etching lines on his brow. "Yes," Ayana affirmed, her breath steadying. "I have to." Avery nodded, stepping aside to allow her through, and Ayana felt something shift as she maneuvered through the sea of faces. Heart pounding, she spotted Sarah at the far end of the room, arms crossed, face set in a scowl. "Don't you dare think you can just waltz over here," Sarah sneered, the familiar venom creeping back into her voice. "Watch me," Ayana shot back, the fire roaring within her. She pushed past the crowd, the shuffling of feet, and whispered conversations fading into the background. It was just then now two women at opposite ends of a battlefield. The air grew heavy with their rivalry, the charged atmosphere igniting the room. Ayana's breath quickened, but it wasn't fear that drove her, it was focus. She zeroed in on the challenge. "I'm done with your games, Sarah," she said, her voice clear and firm. "You don't own my story. Every insult, every look, every whisper, it stops now. I'm claiming my voice." Sarah's eyes flared with disbelief. "You think you can just change overnight? You're still that scared little girl," she spat, malice dripping from her words. "Scared, maybe. But I'm not little anymore." Ayana straightened, her chest expanding with newfound confidence. "I refuse to let you define who I am." The crowd held its breath, faces shifting with interest and disbelief. A thick silence enveloped them, and for a moment, Ayana felt like she was floating above ground, untouchable. But then, the whiplash of uncertainty hit her. What if she failed? What if this was all just bravado? "You'll regret it, Ayana. Nobody stands up to me and gets away with it," Sarah warned, a dangerous glint sparking in her eyes. A shiver ran down Ayana's spine, but she swallowed hard. "Let us see if I don't." A movement surged through the onlookers as they leaned in, breathless, witnessing the unraveling drama playing out. She didn't realize how heavily everyone was invested in her confrontation until she felt the weight of their stares pressing down. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the moment, pulling everyone's gaze toward the entrance. The shattered glass crunched underfoot, but it was the shadow looming in the doorway that charged the air with new apprehension. A figure, someone clad entirely in black, stood silhouetted against the fading light. Ayana's heart thudded. Who was this new player in her already tumultuous existence? Without thinking, the words tumbled out of her mouth. "What do you want?" The figure stepped forward, a smirk carving across their face. "I'm here to shake things up," they said, voice dripping with intrigue. And as that message lingered, Ayana realized she was standing on the precipice of something vastly larger than she ever imagined. The challenges ahead loomed larger than the interpersonal drama of Sarah, and the answer to her fate hung in the balance. Would she navigate this new whirlwind with the courage she had just claimed, or would she be swept away in the chaos? Deep down, she knew one thing: she couldn't turn back now. The figure's smirk deepened, and Iona could feel every eye in the room shift between her and the intruder. She stepped back involuntarily, an instinct she fought to suppress. This wasn't just about Sarah anymore. It was bigger, darker, more ominous. "Who are you?" Iona demanded, her voice stronger than she felt. The stranger shrugged, the black fabric of their clothes absorbing the remaining light in the room. "Call me Jax." "But who I am isn't the issue here. It's what I bring." A ripple of murmurs cascaded through the crowd as they exchanged unsure glances. Iona stood still, her heart racing. This was not the confrontation she had prepared for, but the gravity of Jax's presence sent a chill coursing through her veins. "What do you mean?" Sarah interjected, her tone switching from venomous to curious. The shift was visible, and Iona caught it like a predator sensing a change in the air before a storm. Jax's smile barely reached their eyes, and with a small gesture, they bound the space around them tighter with an unsettling energy. "This little play you all have going, the insecurities, the hierarchy, it's cute, but oh so predictable. I'm here to shake it up, as I said." Iona's instincts screamed for her to retreat, to disentangle from this web before it ensnared her deeper. But she couldn't. This was her moment. "What does that mean? Are you threatening us?" "I'm offering you a choice," Jax replied, their voice silky smooth, with an edge that sent a shiver down Iona's spine. "I know things about Sarah here," they gestured dismissively, "and many other secrets you're all too afraid to speak. You can stay and play the game, or you can step into a new arena, one where you can seize real power." "What kind of power?" Marcus said, stepping forward protectively, but Iona felt his grasp on her arm tighten. Jax turned their piercing gaze on him, and for a fleeting second, Iona saw the fear mirrored in his eyes. "The kind that is yours by right. The kind only well-guarded secrets can unlock. Imagine the freedom, Iona." The room felt like it was holding its breath again, a palpable tension that echoed off the walls. Freedom? What did that even look like? "I'm not afraid of you," Iona said, wrestling with her pounding heartbeat. "Prove it," Jax challenged, their voice dropping an octave. "The moment you face the truth of what you fear is when you begin to rise. When you're ready to embrace the chaos, that's when real change begins." In that moment, Iona felt the walls of her world closing in, and a dawning realization washed across her. This wasn't just a confrontation. This was an invitation. She could either accept the myth of the girl who cowered in shadows, or burst into the light, claiming her identity once and for all. "Are you ready to take that step?" Jax's question hung heavy in the air, their steady gaze fixed on her as the crowd blurred around them. "Maybe I don't need your power, I can find my own," Iona replied, clenching her fists. "But the question remains," Jax replied with a silk-smooth smile. "Do you really know what you're up against? Or will you throw down the gauntlet and unveil the truth, knowing it might destroy you?" Iona felt the weight of her choice, the tension gathering like a storm. Each second stretched, the decision looming over her like a dark cloud ready to burst. As Jax stepped back into the shadows, tossing a final remark over their shoulder, "Choose wisely, Iona. The game has just begun." She was left standing at the brink of an unimaginable decision, and deep down, she knew the answer she was searching for was starting to unfold. But would she have the strength to confront what lay beyond? The daunting question hung in the air, waiting for her to take action. Iona blinked, her gaze darting around the room. The whispers intensified, a cacophony of confusion and fear. Faces she had known for years now looked foreign, distrustful, as though Jax had peeled back their masks, revealing the raw nerves beneath. She could feel Marcus's grip tighten further, his anxiety palpable. "Iona, we should get out of here," he urged, his voice low and tense, but every fiber of her being screamed against retreat. "Let her decide," Jax interrupted, their shadowy figures seemingly unfazed by the mounting tension. "She is stronger than any of you realize." Bob rose in Ayana's throat. Was that praise or a taunt? Jax's presence felt electric, a mixture of danger and allure that drew her in like a moth to a flame. Was it reckless to consider their offer? Or was it the chance she needed to claim her voice? "Freedom," she murmured, thinking about the fragmented pieces of herself she couldn't show, the truths buried under layers of expectation. "What does that really mean? What do you want from us?" Jax chuckled, and the sound sent a ripple of unease through the crowd. "I want nothing but your bravery. Secrets hidden in the shadows make for exquisite stories. But you must choose to embrace your own tale. I want to play your games." Ayana shot back, her pulse quickening with indignation. "Then perhaps you're not ready," Jax replied, their voice smooth, yet with a razor-sharp edge. "But remember, the truth you ignore is the truth that will own you." A chill swept through the room, and Ayana felt her breath hitch. Truth? What did she want her truth to be? It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, taking in the dark abyss below. Did she dare jump? "Jax," Sarah interjected, stepping closer. "What happens if we choose to take this leap with you? What does that look like?" A knowing smile spread across Jax's face. "Oh, sweet Sarah, that depends entirely on the strength of your convictions. There will be consequences dark and illuminating alike." Consequences. Ayana's heart raced. The thought of discovering and facing those deep, dark corners of herself both terrified and exhilarated her. What could be so terrible that it held such power? Maybe freedom meant losing more than she ever imagined. "Do you really think we can handle it?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper, eyes darting nervously from Jax to Ayana. Ayana looked to him, then back to Jax. This was her moment, her decision. She could feel the weight of her heart in her throat, and in a twist of fate, the scattered pieces of her identity seemed to shimmer at the edge of her vision. It was challenging, yes, but perhaps it was also a path to wholeness. Taking a deep breath, she steadied herself. "I want to know the truth," she declared. "I want to know what lies beyond this facade." Jax's grin widened, their dark eyes glinting with approval. "Excellent choice, Ayana. But remember, truths unmasked tend to bring chaos. Are you ready for the unraveling?" As if on cue, a loud crash came from outside, shaking the very foundation of the room. The crowd gasped, a mass of anxious murmurs rising as a figure stumbled through the door, drenched and panting. Their eyes darted wildly around the room, locking onto Jax. "What have you done?" they shouted, their voice raw with panic. "They're coming!" Ayana's heart dropped. The air turned thick with tension, and she felt the dark cloud that had been gathering now unleash its fury. Her decision hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of a precipice. Was she ready for this? Would she emerge as a victor, or would she be consumed by the shadows? As the room erupted into chaos, her gaze shot to Jax, whose expression remained eerily calm amidst the turmoil, a silent challenge painted across their lips. The storm was here, and now Ayana must face it head-on. But would she find her strength or crumble under the weight of impending doom? The questions danced like fireflies through the darkened corners of her mind, each one brighter and more insistent than the last. What awaited them all was unknown, but one thing was certain: the game had shifted, and the stakes had just skyrocketed. What would be the next move? Ayana stood at a crossroads, a tempest of uncertainty swirling inside her. The chaos of the room enveloped her, the panic, the fear, and the uneasiness stitched together in the fabric of the night. That figure, drenched and wild-eyed, stole the breath from her lungs. Who were they? What storm were they warning of? Who was coming? Ayana's voice sliced through the confusion, trembling yet insistent. Jax's eyes locked onto hers, a flicker of admiration dancing just behind their cool exterior. "This is the moment, Iona," they whispered, but the urgency in their tone seemed to waver, lost in the rising tide of fear. "I don't know," the newcomer gasped, desperation spilling from their lips. "But if we don't act fast, everything will change. They'll tear apart what little we have left." The crowd shifted, uncertainty pooling against walls that seemed to close in. Iona's heart raced. Was this the consequence Jax had warned her about? Consequences that threatened to dismantle all she had fought for tonight? Enough. Marcus's voice boomed through the whispers. "We need a plan. If there's a threat, we prepare for it. Together." Standing beside Iona, his gaze was steady, fierce as the fire in her own heart. That steadfastness propelled her forward, igniting the courage she had been searching for amid the chaos. But could she really go back? Go back to being consumed by the judgment of others? No. This was not just about confronting Sarah anymore. It was about confronting everything. Who she was. Who she would become. "I won't hide anymore," Iona declared, her voice gaining strength. "Whatever is coming, I will face it." The room's energy shifted, the support swelling around her like a protective barrier. She felt powerful, buoyed by authenticity. It was hers for the taking. "I'm with you," Marcus affirmed, stepping a little closer, his protective aura settling over her like a warm embrace. "Let us take charge of our fate. Together." Jax tilted their head, impressed but still watchful. "The choice is yours, Iona. You can turn this fear into your strength. This is when the real test begins." Her hands trembled at her sides, but she drew herself up, taking a deep breath as the murmur of encouragement surrounded her. This was her chance. Remnants of fear began to drift away as she steeled her resolve. "All right then. Let us figure out this threat." She turned to the drenched figure, voice firm. "Start from the beginning. Who is coming? What do we need to know?" The newcomer swallowed hard, the crowd falling silent to hear them. "A group, a faction. They thrive on chaos. They don't want change. And they know you're building something here, a resistance, and they want to squash it before it takes root." Gasps echoed through the room, but Iona tightened her grip on her own emotions. "Squash it? Not if I can help it," she stated defiantly. "Exactly, Iona." Marcus chimed in, and the surge of camaraderie rippled through her. "Let us not just react. Let us strategize. I want to hear everything you know." Jack smiled knowingly, the tension they carried seemingly unyielding. "This is your moment to gather your allies to rise up, and use this to strengthen your resolve. Show them what you're capable of." As the newcomer began to speak again, revealing insights and intelligence, Iona felt a shift in the atmosphere. The energy blossomed, morphing from fear into a palpable determination that charged every being in the room. Moments later, the excitement boiled over. Hands shot up, ideas flared. They began formulating their defenses, sharing plans, and synchronizing steps like a finely tuned orchestra. Iona felt her confidence swell. She proved to herself that she was not just a girl in a red dress, but a woman forged by experience, ready to shake the foundations of expectation. But as urgency filled the air, something loomed on the horizon: doubt. Sarah, now standing in the shadows, watched as Iona ignited a fire within her community, her expression unreadable. Then Sarah spoke, cutting through the camaraderie. "What is this? You really think you can win? You're nothing without the validation of others, Iona." Her heart raced at the reminder of their history. "You think I need validation?" Iona shot back, taking a few steps forward. "I'm done. I stand here as me, and that is more than enough." The crowd turned their focus towards Iona, murmurs of support washing over her. Sarah's expression darkened. "You'll crumble. You always do." "No, Sarah. I won tea. This time, I control my narrative." With those words, Ayana felt that flood of realization cascade over her. She was the author of her story now, not the shadow of someone else's warped perception. Ayana's eyes flared as she faced her rival, ready for whatever came next. The crowd leaned in, sensing the power of the moment, the anticipation wrapping them in electric tension. The figure who had once brought so much anxiety now loomed in the corner, but Ayana cast them aside. She would step into the chaotic unknown, armed with the knowledge that the only judgment that mattered was her own. As things outside spiraled closer, the energy peaked. Would they stand united, or would they fall apart in the face of the challenge that lay before them? Ayana felt every heartbeat, every breath become a rhythm of resilience echoing through the vastness of the unknowing night. With clarity blooming, she took a deep breath and grinned. "Let us do this." Empowered, the crowd roared in response, the echoes of her heart finding footing in solidarity. And as they stood ready to confront what lay ahead, Ayana understood. This was only the beginning of a much larger adventure. She was no longer shackled by fear. With the warmth of newfound strength embracing her, Ayana stepped forward, into the chaos, with lights brighter than their shadows ever cast before. This was her moment, her truth, and she would rise. Now, as this legendary chapter closes, we ask, what will you do with your story? Don't wait another second to grab hold of your truth. And if you enjoyed this journey, you need to subscribe immediately to catch the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to fuel the algorithm that brings us all together. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories on this ending. And seriously, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this empowerment story. This is the moment to show your support. Only true fans understand the magic that unfolds when we come together.